Good afternoon and welcome everyone to the FX Daily Wrap-Up. And we've seen the euro come off of its lows. Bear with me. We're looking for a move down here to 1121 on our bias chart support we did for this morning. We did make it down to 1123, but we've come off and our bias chart resistance still remains the same, which is 1191, actually 1192. But if you're just scalping around, then we've got some resistance coming in at 1151, so just be aware of that. We did go in and back off, I guess, made it besides 46 and backed off. Dollar CAD did recover. We mentioned about yesterday about the support coming in at 3089, 3090. I don't know which one I think we had 3089 on the analysis, but 3090 on the bias chart. We did dip below that, but we came back and made up to 3124. Our bias chart resistance was 3136. I don't know if anyone picked any of that up, but that was a decent area considering how far we had fallen. If you take a look at the Canadian dollar CAD on a 2-hour chart, we'd really fallen through the basement. So we were considering that, a decent chance for a rally from here. Potentially, I thought we could make it up to 3166. Our bias chart resistance was 3136, but we did run out of gas, come up, I guess, right to this level on the 2-hour, which is 2023. Peso still continues to go in and struggle. We talked about that. As long as we stayed below and we've made just continuing successive closes below the breakout pivot of 1923.6, and we've already mentioned it several times, but on the way down, I thought we would, it certainly was not bullish in any way whatsoever, because after we lost 1944, I said that, hey, the bulls are gone. They're nowhere to be found. We're definitely going to make a move to 1923.6, but I thought we would have seen some shortcoming, like a bounce to about 1932. Well, we did get up to, I think, about 1929 or something like that, 28, and then we've rolled lower, and we've each low has just been successfully lower on a daily close, with the exception of yesterday. But this market just continues to stay weak, and we've mentioned it. We mentioned on Friday there was a possibility that we could have seen on the 2-hour chart an inverted hammer right here, inverted head and shoulders, I should say. But we needed to get above the right shoulder, which was 1916, and we certainly weren't able to do that. And on Monday, yesterday, we made multiple stabs. Look at that, 3 different stabs to 1916, and we couldn't fill the bill. And we did come down to our bias chart support, which is 1908 with a secondary at 02. And really, there's nothing bullish about this. I mean, people keep trying to buy this thing. Look, until we get above 1916, and really it's 1920 that's actually going to generate some short covering. But until we get above 1916, and you can see that's holding like a rock. You see what I'm saying? You can't even think about being bullish. I mean, if you want to be bullish, you can be bullish. But I mean, if you're looking at this, it's not like this is a 5-minute chart or a 15-minute chart. It's a 2-hour chart. And you can see each low, just successive low, successive low, successive low, successive low. So today, I mean, right now we dropped down to the 1908. Actually, we actually took it out. So 1907 and a half. We had our bias chart support has been in place for the last few days of 1908. And then we finally, I guess, we exceeded it. This morning we hadn't quite made it down to 08, and even that is. And now we're kind of moving above. Look, we need to get above 1916. I mean, I guess you could hang your hat on if we get a close above 14, but it's 1916 just to get things going. You see what I'm saying? Just to get things, because you can see they've made multiple stabs. So far, nothing's happened. As I mentioned, the euro came off these lows. Cash dollar index, we had our bias chart resistance at 97.65. If you look at it from a daily chart, losing that huge pivot of 97.89, which that had been a target for us to go down to, but I thought we'd get a bounce. Well, we did get a bounce, but I think the bounce amounted to about like 20 ticks or something like that. And from there, that was the end of that. And you can see here that pair this back. That huge 97.89 area here. Let's pull this back and see it more clearly. This is actually a weekly level. So I thought, okay, we're going to see a bounce. And like I said, the bounce resulted in what? Okay, 20, literally 20 ticks, maybe 21. And then we rolled over and we've stayed lower. So any rallies into 97.89 is a sell. And resistance is 97.65. We almost made it there today. Let's see, Dalian's just hanging around here. Dalian, like I said, although it's bid slightly, it's, you know, you think this could be higher considering where the equities are. But you know, Dalian is keeping its toes, you know, on the lower end of the tub. Aussie dollar did go in and make a rally in here, as did Kiwi. Made it right in here into this key area. And we ran out of gas right there. You can see that. I think that was actually bias chart resistance yesterday. And we tagged it and took it out by maybe 2 pips. And then we've kind of paired back. But we're still holding relatively well. I think the same thing goes for the Kiwi. Although we did come up and tag this to the pip, this 36. We've kind of rotated lower from there. Not a whole lot, but we're definitely working a little bit higher here. We can go and take a look at the cross rates. I mean, we do have Brexit news, so I'm not even going to touch into those. I think that is well, everybody's, you know, to a certain extent, well informed, or at least they've seen the news headlines. Who knows how that thing's going to be played out? But an interesting one here is the guppy. $39.95 remains the bias chart support with resistance at 41.82. I'm not sure if we can make it up there, but that would be a pretty good level right there against that. So I think I saw someone take a short a little while ago on this, so we'll see how that plays out. I mean, we had a phenomenal run, so certainly you would think that, I don't want to say the risk is well contained, but you already see where it is, 41.82. And with the sterling odd, actually holding up relatively well when you consider how well the Aussie's done. So holding up, bias chart resistance comes in right there at 89.73. But this is a huge level, this 90.58. I mean, any runs toward that, I think, would be a good fade. That's just, that level is just an absolute massive key level. Look at that, 90.58. We did make a jump above it, and then the market paired back, and we pulled off right a decent amount. But we're still keeping a bid. But I think that is a well-defined risk, in my opinion. Euro Kiwi continues to disappoint. They trapped the fresh bulls, and boy did they work on them pretty good. You can see here we broke out this triangle. Now we initially had the support at the apex, but we even went below that. Support right now is 73.09. We're kind of holding our own here, but I mean, on this breakout, a lot of trapped fresh bulls on here, if they're not already gone. I would think they had their stops just below the apex, definitely on a closing basis. Moving into some other charts. Well, we've seen the boons come off their lows, and this is one of the reasons I was stating about being cautious, you know, for Euro bulls, because we had already seen a phenomenal sell-off and much further than I would have expected. But we've come into this value area here. And I thought, okay, they might dip a little bit lower. Well, actually, yesterday they made new lows, but they held in here, and we've already moved higher, which obviously rates going lower worked its pressure onto the euro, and we saw the euro push lower this morning, almost making it to bias chart support of 11.21, the low being 11.23. to me, I think if we get pushes up in here in the euro, or if we get this to pair back, that may, if we can get one more upside push in the euro, I think that'd be a great place to step in and look for the euro to pair back. We did see the crude oil come back with a pretty good little vengeance here. We can see this 54.88 is key. You have to go and take a look at it on the shorter time frame, which we can do that now. We saw quite the turnaround here, and they were really clipping along, and we saw this move up here. And one of the things was we've been looking for the crude oil to bottom, and it hasn't. And so a lot of people are looking for this thing just to really just come and fall apart. And I think there may have been some shorts maybe they were looking for just that, but we kept climbing higher and higher through Asia, through Europe, and we saw the market pair back. Which I was looking for support right in here, this 89, and I think the low was 87, maybe 86, I guess. And then, boy, did we snap back. I think there was some thoughts about OPEC cutting. But the key thing to me is obviously this close. How are we going to go in and play out? And you can see they've kept the bid up, and I think anybody that's short, they're just keeping that bid up. I scalped it a couple times. Actually had one loss and then added, and then it those balanced out, although I still had a little bit of a loss on the other one. But I already scalped out earlier and added another scalp. And right now, I'm not doing anything with crude oil. I want to see how we finish up the day because of the way this market is played out. And we'll go back to the daily, and I'll reference that. You know, when we fell down here, we really fell off like a rock, and you saw like a little mini hammer. And okay, well, now we're on the way. Okay, you rally up here, and okay, now maybe we can start to move, and then we take a dip, and then okay, well, now we're going to maybe start to move. And like I said, you couldn't get a sustained bid. Now we saw this on a Friday, and this is where we opened up the Sunday from the week before, and then we quickly faded again. I'm like, okay, now we're going to hold, and then looks like we get a nice solid close. And then we press a little bit higher, and then we start to slide again. Once again, not able to sustain a bid. People were talking about this thing starting to fail, and it certainly looked like that was a possibility. And then, as I told you yesterday, we come off those lows from the 53, and then we just start pressing higher into Asia, into Europe, and then we really start to let go here. And but the key is going to be this 54.88. That's going to be key. This area right here is that prior Sunday session high too, so it'd be important if we could get above it. It's just gonna, like I said, just about the time that everybody thought that it was going to fall apart, we've ratcheted higher, and I'm just curious to see how this thing's going to play out and look for setups at this point. I'm not trying to challenge this market. I did go on and take a scalp high closer to these highs. Thought, okay, I'll put it up against the highs of the day, see what happens. And I jumped out, and like I said, at this point, I'd rather let the market tell me what it wants to do from a setup standpoint. Gold, haven't touched gold since, like I said, we were looking for that 14.95, and then I did not catch this when it actually tagged it. And I'm talking about the spot on the XAU, obviously futures trading with the premium onto that. But we did go and pair back, and same thing here. As we came down to this trend line here, going to let the market do what it wants to do. It certainly looks like it's vulnerable to slip. Just about the time a lot of people got bearish, the market had turned around and you know, right in here, jumped right up in the face. Probably stopped a few people out. We've come back down, and maybe we can work a little bit lower here at this point. We shall see. So that's all that we've got here for today. We're going to flip it on back to the main screen. As I mentioned, scalp resistance on the euro is going to be 11.51 with the actual resistance at 11.92 is what we're looking at. And dollar CAD has already started to fade back again after a nice little short covering rally. Wasn't anything great, but about 40 pips around there. Everything else is relatively quiet. We are seeing the peso kind of work up a little bit higher, but like I said, you know, you got, as mentioned earlier, you got to crawl before you can walk, and walk before you can run. So, you know, crawl before you can walk is the 1916, and then walk before you can run is going to be the 1920. So that closes it here. And as I mentioned, you may want to go and consider going with a trial with ForexAnalytix. get a 10-day trial for $1. If not, you can always even take advantage of the light version, which gets you some of the analysis. You don't have access to the chat room, but certainly would give you the opportunity to go on and kick the tires on the full version and enjoy the analysis provided from basic technical to macro to Elliott wave to harmonics. But thanks again for joining us, and good luck trading.